Okay, so we will now get into international capital budgeting or international project. Now, what happened is that since in CA final capital budgeting was removed, it was sent to CA Inter, but implicitly the institute retained capital budgeting in CA final by way of international project. Understood? So the whole knowledge of capital budgeting is required. And the biggest joke is that there are certain concepts like adjusted present value APV which are not in CA Inter also, but they were in the old syllabus of CA final, and they have given sums on international project involving APV. So it's very strange that what are they wanting us to do. So this becomes a dangerous area. We'll try to cover as much sums as possible, but then fingers are locked over here. Okay, you should try to cover as much sums as possible for international project. This is the risky area as far as SFM Forex is concerned. Okay, now let's look at the sums. Just one second. So the first sum on international project that I have, international capital budgeting, it's question number 16 over here. Now this question number 16 I am not doing, I am leaving it, because question number 16 has been done in class. It's a very important sum. In fact, I think in this sheet only I have taken this question twice because it has come twice. So this sum has been totally done in class. There is no question of my redoing it. Okay, if anybody has a doubt, they can still ask the doubt on Q4, but I am not doing 16, and I am saying right now one more question of 16 type is there which I will not do. Okay, just one second. Okay, this is question number 6. Question number 6, although this question was also done in class, but it's such a straightforward question, it just takes 5 minutes to discuss, so I would like to discuss it. Now here I am not reading the sum. It's an Indian company which is going to set up the project in Nepal. Indian company setting up the project in Nepal, and they will invest in Nepal, but the product that will be emerged, that product will be sold in India and Nepal both. So the initial investment shall be in Nepal, but the cash flows from year one will be in Nepalese currency as well as Indian rupee. You can see that in the table. Look at the table. The table is net cash flow in million, and that is in, if you see in Nepalese currency, we also have an outflow at 0th point of time, minus 25 million. We don't have an outflow in Indian rupee. That means the project is being done in Nepal, the plant. But then the cash flows year 1, year 2, year 3 are in Nepalese currency as well as Indian currency. So both the places goods are being sold. It is written clearly that these cash flows are in nominal terms, okay, above the table. Now they are saying that XYZ evaluates all investment by using a discount rate of 9% per annum. All Nepalese customers are invoiced in Nepalese currency. Nepalese cash flows are to be converted into Indian rupee at the forward rate and discounted at the Indian rate. So we have to convert NC into Indian rupee. We need the forward rate, F1, F2, F3. Inflation rates in Nepal and India are expected to be 9% and 8%. The current exchange rate is 1 rupee equal to 1.6 Nepalese currency. So you can easily find out the forward rate now. 1.6 into 1.09 by 1.08. What is it coming to? 1.6 into 1.09 by 1.08. So this is coming to 1.6148. That's year 1 exchange rate. And now once again into 1.09 by 1.08. 1.6148 into 1.09 by 1.08. It's coming to 1.6298. And once again into 1.09 by 1.08. So it's coming to 1.6449. So I don't think anybody will mind that, sir, you are not showing on the board. You can easily find out the exchange rate into 1.09 by 1.08. So that's the exchange rate. Let me show. They have done it over here. Okay, these are the calculations. Now, so we can convert 2.6 with S1, 3.8 with S2 and 4.1 with S3. Then we can add the rupee and this cash flow. So we get the total cash flow. And the initial outflow 25 is 25 into 1.6. So we have got the total cash flow with discount at 9% and we get the NPV. Assuming you are the finance manager, calculate the NPV and MIRR for the proposal. Okay, the discount factor is also given. So you can see that here the exchange rate is there. Here they have converted the exchange rate into rupee, okay, the Nepalese currency. Then they have added the Indian cash flow, the Nepalese cash flow, total cash flow 9%, and you get the NPV, which is negative. Okay, very, very easy. Now, what is MIRR? MIRR means, look at this column, total column. We have these cash flows now, 15.625 outflow. Then 4.479 is coming in the first year. We will have to compound it to the third year into 1.09 square. The 6.53 coming in the second year, we will compound it to the third year into 1.09. So all the cash flows will go at the end of third year, and then we will do outflow equal to inflow to calculate the IRR. That's called MIRR. So see, they have done that. The 4.479 into the compounding factor has become 5.32. The 6.53 into the compounding factor has become 7.12. The total cash flow is 19.53, which means you are investing 15.625 today. You are getting 19.53 after 3 years. So outflow equal to inflow. You get R equal to 19.53 by 15.625 to the power 1/3, dirty power minus 1, 7.72%. MIRR, modified internal rate of return. Very easy sum, straightforward sum if it comes in the exam. Okay, perfect. Now, so question number 6 I have discussed. Question number 16 I will not discuss. Okay, let's come to question number 20. Oh, sorry, question number 20 is what we have already done. Let's come to question number 23. Question number 23 is once again an old sum which recently came in the exam. You may be stuck up in this, so I'm discussing. A US-based company is planning to set up a software development unit in India. Software developed at the Indian unit will be bought back by the US parent at a transfer price of $10 million. You understood? The US company wanting to develop software, cheap manpower in India, so setting up a subsidiary over here. And the subsidiary will transfer the software at $10 million. It's a transfer price. It's not any inflow outflow for the entity. This unit will remain in existence in India for 1 year. Software is expected to get developed within the time frame. US-based company will be subject to corporate tax of 30% and withholding tax of 10% in India, will be eligible for tax credit in India. They should have said will be eligible for tax credit in US for the taxes paid in India. Anyways, the software developed will be sold in the US market and many companies are ready to acquire the same. Other estimates are as follows. So the rent for fully furnished service 18,75,000. The manpower cost 80 professionals, 10 hours per day, 500 per man hour for 365 days. Administrative other costs. These are the 3 costs that will be incurred. Plus we have to pay corporate tax, we have to pay withholding tax. Advise the US company the minimum amount it should charge from the prospective buyer. What amount should we charge? The rupee dollar exchange rate is 60 per dollar. Assume 365 days a year. So basically you have to find out the cost incurred by the US. It is not $10 million because $10 million is a transfer price. We should try to calculate the corporate tax and the withholding tax in India. So for that, what is the revenue for the Indian subsidiary? The revenue is 10 into 60. 10 into 60, okay, 600. What is the cost? The cost is rent, manpower and administrative. I hope you will calculate the manpower cost correctly. 80 into 10 into 500 into 365. Let me tell you. 80 into 10 into 500 into 365. That is 146. Okay, that is exactly how much, let me tell you. I think it's 1460 lakhs. Okay, 1460 lakhs is the manpower cost. Add that 18,75,000, add the 15 lakh, that's the total cost. So from the 600 million, we deduct the total cost. We get the profit in India. From the profit in India, we deduct 30% tax. We get the amount that can be repatriated. Then we deduct 10% withholding tax. We get the repatriated amount. They must have done all this. Yes, the revenue, the 3 costs, profit, less tax, less withholding tax. So you get this amount. So this amount, 3154, is repatriated, converted to dollars, divide by 60. You get 52, 57, 292. So 52, 57, 292 is the amount repatriated. So ultimately, $10 million was sent over here and they took back 5.257 million. They sent 10 million, they took back 5.257 million. So they actually spent 4.742 million. 4.742 million was spent over here. This is the minimum amount they will charge from the customer. Very easy sum if it is done once. Perfect. Next sum, I think this sum is the same sum that I'm going to skip. Yeah, it is the same sum which I had skipped earlier. Okay, the sum done in class. Next, we have two very big sums, case study types, 31 and 32. Let's look at 31. Okay, 31. Let's look at 31. It is not case study type. In fact, this was also done in class. Let me see, but I consider the sum to be important. Let's have a look. OJ Limited of UK is supplier of leather goods to retailers in UK and other Western European countries. The company is considering entering into a joint venture with a manufacturer in South America. The two companies will each own 50% of the limited liability company and will share profits equally. 50-50 joint venture. Pound 450,000 of the initial capital is being provided by OJ Limited, and the equivalent in South American dollars is being provided by the foreign partner. Perfect. The managers of the joint venture expect the following cash flows. These cash flows are given in South American dollars, but remember OJ is the UK company and we are doing from the point of view of OJ. So all these have to be converted later into the pound. So these are the cash flows. The sum becomes easy because the cash flows are given. Forward rate is also given. So we are in a position to convert these cash flows into South American dollars. Okay. It is South American dollars per pound, so they have to be divided. For tax reasons, JVSA, the company to be formed for the joint venture, will be registered in South America. Ignore taxation. Good. Assume you are a financial advisor retained by OJ to advise on the proposed joint venture. Calculate NPV of the project under two assumptions explained below. Use a discount rate of 16%. Assumption 1. The South American country has exchange controls which prohibit the payment of cash flow above 50% of the annual cash flow for the first 3 years of the project. The accumulated balance can be repatriated at the end of third year. Okay. So let's discuss this part. So these are the cash flows for the entire joint venture. We have to focus on OJ. So OJ is a 50% partner. So we will do half of it. That is 4250 by 2, 6500 by 2, 8350 by 2. These cash flows belong to OJ. Now whatever we did half, we have to convert it into what? We have to we have to further find 50% of it because only 50% is allowed to be repatriated. So 4250 divided by 2. It belongs to OJ, then divide by 2 is what OJ can take back. Now whatever OJ can take back, that by 10, that by 15, that by 21, they are the South American dollars cash flow for OJ each year. And in the last year, whatever accumulated amount was there, the 50% which was not allowed to be repatriated, that entire amount shall also be divided by 21. Okay, to get the year 3 cash flow. So in year 3, we are getting two types of cash flow. Number 1, the year 3 cash flow, which is allowed to be repatriated. And number 2, the blocked amount of year 1, year 2 and year 3, the total amount divided by 21. Okay, so you get the entire cash flows, pull it down at the rate of 16%, find out the present value and deduct 4,50,000 the initial investment and you get the NPV. Let's check the calculation. Yeah, profit is given. They've done half of it. They've done once again half of it. And then after doing the half of it, okay, they have converted into pound terms. Okay, this converted into pound and then they've done the present value. Okay, you can see in the last year, there's additional cash flow of 4775. That is the accumulated amount of the first 3 years. Okay, that's the NPV. So that was scenario 1 when exchange controls are there. Scenario 2, government of South American country is considering removing the controls and restrictions on repatriation. If this happens, all cash flows can be distributed to partners at the end of each year. So in that case, these cash flows divided by 2 belongs to OJ and that by 10, that by 15, that by 21 to be sent back to OJ and then just pull it and find out the NPV. That's very, very simple. Okay, so second scenario NPV is positive. First scenario NPV is negative. Comment briefly on whether or not the joint venture should proceed based on these calculations. So if we believe in assumption 1, the project should not be accepted. If we believe in assumption 2, the project should be accepted. That should be the answer, diplomatic answer. Perfect. So very easy sum, very, very easy sum because the cash flows are already given. Okay. Let's look at question number 32. So if you look at question number 32, an Indian company is planning to set up a subsidiary in South Africa. The initial project cost is estimated to be ZAR 500 million. Working capital required is estimated to be ZAR 30 million. Please remember, working capital shall be recovered in full. So we are investing 530 million. The finance manager of the company estimated the data as follows. Variable cost of production per unit 5.2, fixed cost 4 million, selling price 15. So contribution is 15 minus 5.2, 9.8. Production capacity is 16 million. So 16 million into 9.8. 16 into 9.8, that is 156.8 is the contribution. Less fixed cost 4 million. Less fixed cost 4 million. That gives 152.8. EBITDA sort of 152.8. They are saying method of depreciation, straight line, salvage value 0. So depreciation should be 500 by 5, that is 100. So minus 100. If we do minus 100, we get 52.8. That is EBIT. EBIT is 52.8. We make it post-tax, 52.8 into 0.6. Look, the tax rate is 40%. We get 31.6. Add depreciation. Add 100. We get 131.68. Now people should know how to calculate CFAT. So I took what 15 minus 5.2 is contribution per unit, multiplied by number of units 16. I got contribution, less fixed cost 4. I got EBITDA, less depreciation, that's 500 by 5, 100. I got the EBIT, 1 minus T, we got NOPAT. Add depreciation, we got CFAT. You should be knowing how to do this. If somebody doesn't know how to do this, how can I help? The subsidiary of the Indian company is subject to 40% tax in South Africa, and the required rate of return on such types of product is 15%. The current exchange rate is 5 per ZAR, and rupee is expected to depreciate by 3% for the next 5 years. You know, when rupee is the numerator currency, the base currency is ZAR. So rupee will fall, that means ZAR will rise. So they will do 5 into 1.03 into 1.03 into 1.03. That gives us the expected spot rate. The subsidiary shall be allowed to repatriate 60% of CFAT every year. So I calculated the CFAT. I can repeat the entire process again. 15 minus 5.2 is 9.8. 9.8 into 16 is contribution. That minus 4 is EBITDA. And that minus 100 is EBIT. That into 0.6 is NOPAT. That plus depreciation of 100 is CFAT. Okay. So CFAT is 131.68. 60% of that is to be repatriated each year into 60%. That is 79. So 79 is the repatriated amount each year. 79 is the repatriated amount each year. And the blocked amount is therefore that 131.68 into 40%. The blocked amount is therefore 131.68 into 40%. That is 52.6 whatever. So they are saying the subsidiary shall be allowed to repatriate 60% every year, along with accumulated arrears of blocked fund at the end of 5 years. The withholding tax are 10%. So whatever 60% I got, 60% was what? 131.68 into 60% was what? It was 79. That 79 you have to pay withholding tax of 10%. So into 0.9. 79 into 0.9. Okay, and that amount shall go each year. Okay, to the company, and that will be at the exchange rates that we forecasted, 5 into 1.03, 1.03 square and all that. Okay, and the blocked fund, the 40% part, shall be reinvested at 6% every year. So the first year is reinvested at 4 years, second year for 3 years, third year 2 years, fourth year 1 year, and the entire blocked amount together with recovery of working capital, you pay 10% tax and you take it back at the 5th year's exchange rate. Okay, it's a good sum. Look at it. Selling price, variable cost, contribution, quantity, annual cost, 131.68. Now 131.68, 60%. Expected spot rate, repatriated. Okay, you got this amount. And after withholding tax into 0.91 Then the blocked amount was this. This is reinvested 66%. This total amount, and this total amount less 10% withholding tax. Okay. And then the recovery of working capital of 30 million, the present value and NPV. So it's a very, very good sum. I think the best sum on international project up till now. Okay, you should do this sum very nicely. Question number 32. Although I must have spoken fast, but the hints that you got are sufficient for you to pick up the sum. Just 1 second. So 31 and 32 are very good sums. 31, especially 32. Up till now, the best sum is 32. And as far as question number 36, Yeah, 28 and 29 are concerned. 28 and 29 are case study type sums on international capital budgeting. You have the choice of either leaving them because they are less likely to come in the exam, so you can leave them because less likely to come. But in case you want to do them, I will have to include my Challenges series video. Okay, so I'll also include the Challenges series videos as Forex Class 9 for these two sums, 28 and 29. Okay, those are primarily in English, but a little bit of Hindi might be used over there. But if you are trying to understand, you can easily understand, and Excel sheet is also attached over there for the purpose of seeing the calculations. 28 and 29. These are very, very big sums, case study type. I'm not covering them over here. Okay, so I think the main sum, the sum of the day was question number 33. What is 33? Wait a minute. Yeah, 33 is also a case study type sum. You have to take your own call, which is there in the Challenges series. So for International Cap Budge, I will be sharing with you my Challenges series, this thing. You have the choice of whether to do them or not. So I've tried to take as many sums as possible for the purpose of ensuring that we are good in international projects. So this was the 7th class of this thing, Forex, and the 8th, 9th class, maybe the Challenges series class, which have already been taken, which are there on YouTube, but I will include them over here. Okay, I'll provide the link over there. You have a choice of doing them or not doing them. Okay, so that's it. Forex is over in the Challenges series. We will move to the next topic, I think bond valuation, okay, from the next class onwards. Thank you.